Welcome to Buns, Burgers, and Big Ideas, the go-to podcast for aspiring and seasoned leaders in the quick service restaurant industry. Each week, we serve up actionable insights and proven strategies to help you lead smarter, build stronger teams, and elevate operations. Whether you're taking your first steps into leadership or refining your expertise, we're here to fuel your growth and spark big ideas. Let's dig in.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Riley with Eric. This is week 3 of Buns, Burgers, and Big Ideas.
Oh, I love it. It's just going by so quickly.
It's so quickly.
Yeah.
We're having a good time here, guys. We're just messing around with the microphones. Eric broke something.
I did. This is why they don't let me around technology. I'm telling you, I am not that person.
He's not. He calls his resident tech guys quite a bit.
Well, you're not supposed to completely agree with me. You could say at least a little bit. No.
He makes his way through. He's good. He's good.
This is where you know your role.
Yeah.
You know your role. Yeah. You keep everything in check here. So
flowing around.
Right.
So today, guys, we're going to talk about motivation, and that's a big one for us. You know, in the QSR industry, there's a lot of times where we can lose that motivation because there's always the next thing.
Always the next thing.
Always.
And motivation is just one of those things where you can really lose it. You can go through slumps. You can be just running 100 miles an hour, right? And then all of a sudden just hit a brick wall and lose all that motivation. And today I'm looking forward to this episode because I think we're going to give out some good ideas on how to stay motivated, some good ideas around how to identify when you're not maybe motivated. And if you know as well as I do in the restaurant industry, it's always that next thing. So how do we celebrate some of those successes along the way so we can keep our team motivated too?
Yeah. Those mountains, they don't stop coming. Yeah. What's that song? They don't stop coming.
I'll have to look that one up.
What is it? Is it All-Star? Smash Mouth? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's always mountains that are going to come in this world, and there's one challenge after another. And Eric, you mentioned, how do you get out of those slumps? And I think part of that starts with being self-aware and knowing yourself a little bit. And so if you know your telltale signs that maybe you're in those slumps, write those down. Write them down somewhere. Last time we talked about our vision board, but we can use those to kind of remind us, hey, if I'm feeling this way or I'm thinking this way, then maybe I should grab somebody or have somebody help me out of that slump, or help yourself out.
Yeah, I agree. The self-awareness can be really challenging at first, to just know when you're in it, right? Because when you're in it, you don't always feel in it. Or when you are in it, it's even harder to get out of it. So having those support networks, right, to help you stay on track, knowing your goals, in my opinion, having clear, concise goals along the way with timelines, it may sound like one of those corporate-y type things, right? Have a vision, have goals, and work through your action plans. It might sound a little like fluff, but I'm going to tell you, if you give it a real chance, it can work. And I've become more and more goal-oriented over the years. And when I do have goals and I do have things that I'm trying to achieve, I have a much better effort towards those things. I don't get as easily sidetracked, right? Because there's, once again, all of these tasks in the restaurant industry, and you can easily get sidetracked from whatever that main objective might be.
And you say main objective, which is a good point, is focusing on the biggest thing, right? Put your attention on the biggest goal or the biggest obstacle, and all the other little goals, they still matter, but they're not the forefront of what you're working towards. You're not distracted necessarily by other little goals, but you've got that big mountain that you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. And knowing what your goals are and your team knowing what the main objectives are will only help you keep on that track. And along the way, sure, if you need to chunk that out a little bit, if you need to have little goals, right, or as far as what does success look like, I think that's just as important. Like having your goal, but being able to know what that success looks like and knowing what you're going to do to celebrate those things, it can go a long ways. Now, your team's not always going to achieve everything that we set forth, at least not maybe in the timeline that we designed.
Right.
So when you don't get to those things, when you don't necessarily achieve what you wanted to achieve, being able to redirect and help your team understand what maybe that next milestone looks like is also really helpful.
And I would also say too, sorry to cut you off,
please.
It's okay to miss it. And it's okay to be upset that you missed it, because again, you guys all know in the restaurant, you're trying to do so many things at once. You're trying to be fast. You're trying to be this. And you miss something that sucks. It's gonna hurt, but just don't live in it, and just have that be another reason, the motivation to move on to the next mountain.
Yeah, and I think, Riley, too, we don't do a lot of reflection. And in the past, I've tried to work on this too, right? People would talk, well, you got to reflect, you got to look back, you got to diagnose what you've done. And I don't think we always do a nice job of that, right? Usually we'll live in the why we weren't successful rather than maybe what were some things that got us to at least where we did get to. Like you said, maybe you only got to 80% of your goal, but that's a lot closer than when you started. So how do you reflect on those things, and how do you allow the past not to define you either? So we have lots of restaurants and lots of team members that sometimes when they're not achieving the things that they feel like they're letting everyone down.
They keep getting worse, almost.
It's true.
And we want to help pull them out of that when it comes to, I didn't hit this goal. I can't do this. They lose that confidence too. And then we're back to square one.
I was just talking to a general manager a little while ago, and she was really disappointed when we did our end of the year awards. She didn't get any. And we gave out, about 20 different awards on 20 different awards for 20 different topics and things like that. And she was super disappointed that she didn't get a single one out of the entire organization. And she's like, but I run a good restaurant. Like she's always been, and she does, and she runs a very good restaurant. But it's not maybe where it is as far as the upper echelon of results. And she could have gone one of two ways, really. She could have taken that and said, well, I'm just not good enough, and I'm not motivated. Why try, right? But she took it in a completely different direction. She used that as fuel on her fire to basically go to her management team and say, hey, listen, we're really good at what we do, but we're not great yet. Right?
We need more,
Yeah, we need more. And she wanted more, and she wanted more for her team, and she wanted to be able to celebrate her team. So what she ended up doing is saying that this basically isn't going to happen again. I'm going to have the results. Our team is going to have the results that basically is able to showcase what this team is really capable of. And lo and behold, the 12-month effort this year from 2024 really paid off for her.
Yeah, she got what, 3?
Yeah, she's actually in second
Place,
second place in the entire organization when it comes to the ranking system that we use.
Yeah.
So she went from like 10th, right, which was in the top third, really good stuff.
Good restaurant.
To all of a sudden being in the top 2. And I'm really excited. I'm excited because next month we are giving out the awards, and I would expect her team's name, which was really cool too. She said, hey, I don't want any awards that say my name. I want the awards to say our team's name.
Guys, that's motivation right there. You ever heard that? She's basically saying, I don't want the credit. I want my team to get the credit, so I can help motivate them with this certificate of whatever award.
And I'm just going to say, right, that's when you're starting to make that switch from manager to leader. And
it's about your people.
It's a really cool energy that surrounded that. And you need to know what you're aiming for, and that's where the goals come in. And the nice thing here is that you say the general manager, right, didn't allow her past to define their future, right? She took the results and she said, okay, this is what we're going to do better. And this is how we're going to do better. And if others can do it, I can too. And I think sometimes you look at other people and you say, well, they're good because they cheat, or they do this, or they're good at pushing a button, or they don't have the same area I'm in. They don't know what it's like, right? We kind of make
excuses.
Yeah. So we come up with different reasons as to why we can't be successful, or reasons as to why others are and we can't be. And I'm just so proud of her for being able to take that and just do something with it, right? Actually do something with that information.
Yeah, because like you said, she could have easily dropped in rank, or said, I'm not motivated anymore, I'm not good enough, I'm done. But she took that and turned it into top 2 restaurant.
Yep.
That's crazy.
The biggest thing that she said too is, because I asked her, I said, well, what's helping you with your motivation? What helps you kind of get through? She talked about her confidence. Yeah. So she already was probably one of the smartest people in our organization anyways. Like our general managers know their stuff.
They do.
Right? Like they're really good, and definitely people that we should follow and look up to. But she said knowing everything didn't matter. She said, I didn't have the confidence to be able to talk to my team, right? I didn't have the confidence to be able to go to some of the managers who are maybe more seasoned than I am. I didn't have the confidence maybe to give the direction that was needed. And now all of a sudden, she's like, I just have that confidence.
And I bet what motivated her was last year's awards.
Right?
I mean, it could be part of that kind of maybe jump-started her, that journey, that 12-month journey that you said, to where now she's, okay, I am confident, I am motivated, I know what I want, and I'm going to help my team get there.
Yeah. It's really helpful. And that's where building in confidence can also grow through hitting your goals, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes we have goals and we don't circle back, right? We've already kind of talked about that. We have goals and maybe we couldn't achieve them. Or in the quick service restaurant industry, it's always that mountain after mountain after mountain. You're always trying to achieve what's next, right? And for us to be able to take a moment and really celebrate that is a key to future success. And I don't think we do that enough.
No, I don't either. And I think because of the fast-paced environment that we're in, and the next mountain, it's a repetitive cycle, and it's not a breeding ground for leaders. Say it, So we need to be able to take that step back and actually celebrate those moments where we get to the top of that mountain. I know there's going to be another mountain. It's going to be something that comes up the next day, or maybe even that shift. But if you can find ways to celebrate with your team, that's going to build their confidence. It's going to motivate them. And then that just means that the next goal is going to be that much more attainable.
Yeah, it's true. And when you look at like sports teams in general, right? They're going to go out on the field. Let's say football, for example, right? They're going to go out on the field and they're going to give it their hardest for 60 minutes. And the whole focus at that point, right, is for them to achieve more points than the other team, right? But you'll hear it, right, as far as celebrating that success. Well, we're going to take the night to celebrate this, and tomorrow we'll go to the next thing. I don't know if in the restaurant industry we were able to take that night to celebrate, or if we even do it the right way.
The right way, or not at all. You know, my experience in the restaurants, it was very much what we're talking about: mountain, mountain, mountain.
Yeah.
Go, go, go. There was a manager that I talked to not that long ago, and their personality is just, positive energy. They're always smiling, and they're communicating targets, and they're what I wish I was when I was a manager.
Sure.
Like you can just tell that they know what they're doing. And every time I see this person, they're talking about what they did well that day, what they missed on, what they were wanting to do next time, and like all these different things. So going back and referencing what you did bad, reflecting on that. What'd you do well, celebrating those, and then keep pushing.
It's the back to basics stuff that I know, like I would just cringe whenever I heard somebody go, well, we just got to get back to the basics, right? But the basic stuff, they can work. Yeah. I'll admit it. After all these years, I'll admit it that sometimes just going to the basic steps will really help. Well, think about it from a shift standpoint, right? If you do your pre-shift, I cringe if you want to. If you do your pre-shift and you set some targets and set some goals for your team, right?
Yeah.
Because general managers are going to have different goals than maybe assistant managers. Shift managers are going to have different goals than their assistants. Crew trainers, whatever titles you have within your system, right? Everyone's going to have different goals.
Yeah.
So if you just break it down, shift by shift, day by day, week by week, I mean, you can think about all these different things, but you can't celebrate success if you don't set some sort of target, right? So that's where that pre-shift can really come in handy and say, okay, I have given my team all of the tools and resources for them to be successful, and here's what I want them to achieve. Then you run your shift, you do everything you need to do, and then the post-shift. Have you ever done a post-shift analysis? Like, right?
No.
I'm with you, right? You tell people, hey, good job.
Or a huddle or something like that. I don't even remember doing those.
So how do you go back then at the end of your shift and say, hey, Jimmy, hey, Mary, you guys not only were you successful, but you were successful because you achieved this
thing,
or this thing, or you made burgers the fastest, right? Or you, whatever you were looking to achieve that day, take the minute to really celebrate that with that person, because that's what they're going to remember.
Well, not only just the celebration, right, but also the fact that you trusted them to get said goal. We'll probably talk delegation later, but delegation is a great way to increase motivation and results in the restaurants, because they now are part of that. Where today, or in your restaurant, it's nobody really knows what the goal is. At least that's how I felt back in the
Sure.
day.
Yeah.
So knowing those goals, like Eric just laid out, now I know I'm a part of it. Now I know if I go, 5 seconds faster with this, 2 seconds faster with this, I'm helping with that goal.
Yep.
And so I think that's super important too.
Yeah, and if we're going to really talk motivation, right? First of all, we have to motivate ourselves because a lot of people aren't going to be motivated by their leaders, right? Not every leader, not every manager is a good manager yet, right? Listening to us, right, will help them become those great leaders and self motivating and things like that. But you have to work with your team on how to motivate them, right? Just because
Everybody's
it motivates
different.
you,
Yep.
it may not motivate them. So what's wrong with somebody who's constantly working in the kitchen area to go and set some of their own goals, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with the person maybe on front counter or in the drive-through setting some of their own goals? And it can be the silliest thing. As long as it gets you to where you want to be, why not let them have some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Share the wealth of the goals. I remember another quick example, HBO.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's like a handbag out.
Yeah.
So you have a shift competition. Who can hand the bags out the fastest? Who can get this done? Who can meet this goal? And you get the whole team involved that way.
Yeah, and it does. It creates an excitement and energy. And all of a sudden now they want to come back tomorrow and work for you, right? They want to work for you instead of having to work. It is. It's the big difference, right? When you talk say levels of leadership, am I working for you because I have to or because I want to?
Right.
And I'd rather work for somebody who's going to motivate me, celebrate me, even if it's a small thing. It doesn't have to be something major. Sometimes we talk celebration, and Riley, you're much better at that than I am, right? You just are, right? it comes more naturally to you, and I emulate you for that because it's hard for me to continue to remember those things and to celebrate those things. But we have to be intentional with it. And when we show that our team provides value, right? How great
Here's
is that?
where you made an impact. This is where, we hit XYZ target. This is where we did this. This is where we did this. Doesn't that feel awesome?
Yeah.
And then you can literally see them light up. And I don't know about you, but people also help motivate me. So when I see other people hitting goals and succeeding, oh man, I get so happy and so excited for the next thing that sometimes I'm like, let's go next mountain.
Right? Instead of dreading the mountain?
Yeah.
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
I like that. I really do. It is. Like, we don't have to dread the what's next.
Yeah. Because we can just keep it moving.
Yeah.
Momentum, motivation, the 2 M's.
It's really good stuff. I would just challenge our restaurant teams, our restaurant leaders that are listening, right? Set those goals. Look to find the motivation. Look to find the goals that motivate you, right? Obviously, you're going to work with your boss on what they're looking to achieve, right?
The overarching goals.
Yeah, of course. There's going to always be overarching goals. There's always going to be these things that your bosses want, right? But eventually, what your bosses want is going to fall on your shoulders anyways. So why not look to get ahead of it?
Yep.
Yeah,
And split it up like you mentioned with your team,
for sure.
So leading others by motivating them and giving them that opportunity to celebrate with those things and not living in the past because things happen.
Yep. Man, do they have.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And be intentional. Yeah.
I would agree. I think we all have it in us as long as we're working towards and we keep it in mind and we allow ourselves to work with our teams and find what motivates them just as much as what motivates us.
Yeah.
So.
And that self-awareness piece is crazy. Again, if you're not self-aware, find that support network. I'm grateful to have a great support network where if I'm, slumping down, somebody's gonna be like, "Wake up, Riley! You got some stuff to do." But otherwise, lean on each other, lean on your teammates, lean on your restaurant. One more cliche.
Yes, I love it.
Restaurants are family, and I hated that one for a while.
Sure.
I did because it's just corporate-y, like, oh, we're a family.
Yeah.
But a family is what you make it. And I've been in many restaurants where you walk in and it's a family. And you walk into others where you're like, these guys don't get along.
Yeah, it's a feeling.
It is. It's the culture. It's the morale. It's however you feel in that environment. So motivating your team, making that culture, leading others is going to help increase your results. It just is.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great way to segue into the ending here.
I'm gonna have Eric be my support network, and he's gonna keep me motivated.
Oh, for sure. What's cool about our team is I think we've built a team at our table where everyone's really honest with each other.
Yeah, we've gotten to that point.
Yeah, and I think when you can get your team to work well together, when you can get people to talk to each other and not be afraid to say how they're feeling and the things that they do want to go out there, no fear of retaliation, right? And that we really are working towards that common goal together. I think it's the bee's knees.
The bee's knees.
Yeah. I don't know if
and that's where we'll end. But seriously, thank you guys for listening. Catch us next week, and we will see you later.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Buns, Burgers, and Big Ideas. We hope today's episode inspired fresh ideas for your leadership journey. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and keep learning with us as we continue to explore leadership in the QSR world. Until next time, take care and lead well.